This is the morning show here on Signature TV. Hope you're good out there. It's a Monday, and it is the 17th of March 2025. Hope you're good. Hope you're balancing out. Anyways, governance, they say, is almost everything. For every single thing that you do as an individual living in a particular space, there's always a political leadership that sees to the growth, the development, and security of that location. And if that is not giving, then you probably be living in a pariah state. One of the major issues, of course, with human living is transportation. I do not know how much of transportation that we know about in terms of safety on the roads. Beyond what the FRSC says to us every now and then, what exactly is the government doing in terms of policy formulation that can help to be secured on our roads? Nick Agule is joining us via Zoom this morning. Good to have you. Good morning.
Morning and good morning to our viewers globally.
Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're talking about our safety and safety as it relates to our roads. Again, because of how bad our roads are, the easiest thing to point to with the crashes that we face as people is basically the fact that our roads are bad. But beyond that, there are other things that the government are not doing, especially as it relates to policy formations. What are these formations? What are these policies, and how do you think it can be implemented for safety on the roads?
Thank you very much for that question. And you have aptly put it to say that we are losing a lot of lives on the roads in Nigeria. And very often we hear or see the headlines where it says that 15 burnt to death on Benue Road, 20 burnt to death at Damaturu, Maiduguri Road, and things like that. We get hearing this kind of news. And we also hear like a tanker fire, 150 burnt to death, and things like that. And if you aggregate all these losses over time, there are a lot of lives that are being wasted. And to be honest, even one life is too much, not to mention thousands of lives that we are losing on our roads. And now you raised a very important point. You talked about what will be the policy formulation for government. But unfortunately, just like as it is with everything in our national life, the policies are there. Government laws, traffic laws, road traffic laws, and all of that are there. But what is not happening is the enforcement. So for instance, what are the factors causing road traffic accidents on Nigerian roads? Number one is the quality of the drivers. People are not being licensed and they are on the roads driving. We will have laws around licensing of drivers. There are laws. It's just that the agencies responsible are not enforcing it. The second cause of accidents on the road is the quality of the vehicles that are on the roads. And we have laws and policies around inspection of vehicles. That is what you call VIO, Vehicle Inspection Officer, right? They are all over Nigeria. But they aren't doing their work. Like licensing is the Federal Road Safety Commission. That's the agency responsible. Are they doing their work enforcing to ensure that you have to have a license before you're on the road? No. Are the vehicle inspection officers doing their work? No. And then the other aspect that also causes road traffic accidents on the road is the quality of the roads. The quality of the roads. So the quality of the roads, this is a responsibility of the federal, state, and local governments. Because in Nigeria, you have three categories of roads. Some roads are owned and managed by the federal government, some are owned and managed by the states, and some for the local governments. And the roads in Nigeria are not good. Horrible roads all over the place. And the governments that are responsible for fixing the roads are not fixing the roads. There are laws, there are policies, there are budgets, because the budget itself is a law. Yeah, every year we make an appropriation bill, which the assemblies at the various tiers of government approve, and then the executive signed to become law. Why is the law of making the roads to be motorable not being implemented? So Nigeria's problem is not policy making, is not the absence of laws. The whole laws and structures and agencies have been staffed and ready to go do their work. For instance, the Federal Road Safety is not only responsible for licensing, they're also responsible for ensuring safety on the roads. So they are the ones that are responsible to say if the speed limit for a particular road is 80 kilometers an hour, the motorists are complying with that. Because roads have different um, uh, characteristics. When you leave your home, you are most likely going to get on the street, and then from the street you connect to a highway, then a highway you connect to a motorway while you are traveling. Given the characteristics of these roads, things like their speed limit is different. So there are roads where you shouldn't drive for more than 20 kilometers an hour. There are those that should be 30, 50. Some day you can drive up to 100 kilometers. It is government that is expected to enforce that, so that motorists will be keeping to this speed limit to save lives. But all that is not happening. So the summary of what I'm saying here is that our problem is not policy making, it's not laws. Our problem is that those who have been given the responsibility to maintain safety on our road aren't doing their job. And the earlier they begin to do their job, the better.
I mean, another thing that a whole lot of persons are really concerned about is even the process of acquiring a license to even drive on the Nigerian roads. I mean, you see people cutting corners, and the corners are cut even through the members of these people who are supposed to be custodian of these laws. You ask for driver's license. We all know how you can obtain a driver's license in Nigeria. I mean, you can be in your house and make a call, and then the driver's license is delivered to you another few days or maybe a few hours. I mean, how much of this type of value reorientation for members of the FRSC or even VIO are important for safety on our roads?
It's a very good point that you have raised. And a lot of Nigerians, like in the scenario that you have described now, which is very, very possible. In the scenario you have described now, that you can get a driving license in Nigeria without ever sitting behind the steering of any vehicle. I'm not talking about you starting an ignition or anything. You have never ever in your life sat behind or sat on the driver's seat in any vehicle, yet you can have a driving license. Why is that possible? Because the agencies that are responsible for ensuring that only those who are properly trained and examined and found to be able to drive and drive safely on our roads are licensed are not doing their job. And I hear a lot of Nigerians who will now say, oh, so is that the president's problem? Oh, is that government's problem if Nigerians themselves are breaking the laws? The people who say these things, either they are ignorant or they are being mischievous. Mischievous in the sense that they want to drag attention away from the leaders who are failing in their responsibilities. Otherwise, elsewhere in the world, like even here in the United Kingdom, where I'm speaking to you from, it is not the citizens who are blamed for people driving on the roads with license. I mean, people having licenses without ever driving on the roads. It's not citizens who are blamed for that. The government takes charge of that. And in Nigeria, for instance, the Federal Road Safety Commission, they are not a law upon themselves, right? They have an establishment and an enabling act. They have an enabling act that established them. And if they are found to be breaking that law that established them, it is the president of Nigeria that should okay, I think they are under a federal ministry of for federal road safety. Okay, where are they? Maybe is this secretary to the government of the federation? I think that's where they report into, not
Yeah.
minister of works. So the Secretary of Government of Federation should take action against them. If the Secretary does not take action against them, then the President takes action against them. And how do leaders know these things? Leaders know these things from newspaper, TV, that is media reports, and these days, including social media. So if the President is saying that, oh, accidents are happening on the road and these people don't have licenses, he should call in the Secretary of Government of Federation and say, why are you allowing Federal Road Safety to issue licenses without first examining the candidates to ensure that they can drive? And I can assure you that if the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Commission receives a direct query to say that, why are your officers issuing licenses to people who are not qualified? I can assure you that everything is going to change. The Corps Marshal is going to tell his deputy Corps Marshals, who will tell their assistant Corps Marshal, who will tell their Corps Marshals, who are the ones at the state level, down to licensing office, that don't try this thing again. You have to issue license to only people who are qualified. That's how you do governance. Right? Governance has to come with carrot and stick. If people do well, you reward them. If they do badly, you reprimand them. And we're not seeing that reprimanded. If the Corps Marshal of the road safety in Nigeria loses his job, like you journalists, you make a news item, you broadcast a news item to say the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Commission of Nigeria has been sacked because his men are issuing licenses to people who are not qualified to drive. Do you know that will be the end of this problem we're discussing? So if we want to run Nigeria with the rule of law, we better get on to doing it. Otherwise, we're going to be discussing these issues now till all of us pass away from this generation.
Yeah, a whole lot of persons have spoken largely about the use of technology in solving some of these problems. Some persons frustrated this move because of what they could gain if it's done manually. In the UK, like you mentioned, I mean, you hardly see road safety on the roads. I mean, if you flout the law, your vehicle is flagged. The only thing is you are going to find a little later that same day some sort of stuff right in your house. Why is it difficult for us to actually inculcate some of our activities into digital form, so you don't have to have people who stand on the road to stop you to, you know, look at your vehicle, or look at your vehicle plate number, or look at your stuff? Because again, that's also risky. We've seen vehicles knock down some of these FRSC members and even VIO members, you know, for people who are also unruly on the road as well. So why do you think it's difficult for us to inculcate technology into our system, especially for road safety?
Well, it is difficult because we don't want to do it. If we want to do it, we will do it. As you can see in Nigeria, if they want to do something, they do it. When they wanted to change the national anthem, they did it in a day. It wasn't difficult. They did it in one day. They changed the national anthem. The whole process of changing the national anthem, which is a bill from the presidency, discussed, first reading, second reading, committee, back to whatever, approved by both arms of National Assembly, taking the bill straight to the president, his signature did, and everything was done. That's when they want to do something, right? So if they want to bring safety to our roads, bringing technology, like you have rightly said, here in the UK, you will never see anybody mount a roadblock. Not the police, not the road safety, not the VIO, not the NDLEA, not the Army, not the Air Force, nothing. There is no roadblock on any road. So you come out, you drive all over the place without anybody having to stop you to say, queue up and show me your papers. Because, like you rightly say, there's technology. In every police car in the UK, there is what they call automatic number plate recognition technology, ANPR. And what that means is that that police car, as it's going around, it is scanning all the plate numbers that it is seeing on the road. And if it sees a plate number of a vehicle whose registered owner does not have a driver's license, it will know. Or it has not done its annual vehicle inspection check, it will know. Or it does not have an insurance, it will know. Or that vehicle has been flagged earlier on in a past incident and it didn't report itself to the police or anything, it will know. And that is when they ignite their lights and then follow the vehicle. And the law says once the police set on their blue lights behind you, you are expected to clear off the road at the next safest point and stop. If you don't, then a chase has started. They will chase you to wherever you are going and they will grab you, right? So with that technology, you don't need to have people on the road because like you have rightly said, these people on the road, number one, they constitute a nuisance because you left and you are going to a business meeting or you want to get to somewhere and then there's a huge traffic build up. Why? Because some people have mounted tires on the road and they are just checking vehicles, constituting a delay to your travel. Then number two, it causes the needless death. Like you have already said, so sometimes there is a altercation or a struggle between the people mounting the roadblock and motorists, and lives are lost. So with technology, you don't need that. But in Nigeria, how can you implement that when some vehicles in Nigeria don't even have plate numbers? There are vehicles plying the road in Nigeria today without plate numbers. And there are some that have plate numbers that the plate number is covered. In all of my travel around the world, I have never seen this kind of thing where you go to a country and a plate number of a vehicle is covered. What does that mean? It means that vehicle is above the law because it is the plate number that identifies the vehicle. And if you identify the vehicle, you'll be able to identify the owner of the vehicle. So the fact that the plate number's identity has now been covered up, there is no way you can identify the vehicle, and hence you can't identify the owner of the vehicle. And this thing is being allowed. The Federal Road Safety Commission, who are on the road, they are seeing it, they are doing nothing about it. And the government officials are the ones who are leading this craze of covering up plate numbers in Nigeria. And these are the very unusual things that people see when they arrive in Nigeria. Like, foreigners who have arrived at the airport, it's their first time in Nigeria. And just as they are driving out of the airport, they are looking at some of the vehicles whose plate numbers have been covered up. It will be so strange to them because they have never seen anything like that. Because like here in the UK, when I'm speaking, the Prime Minister's car does not even carry a government registration number. The Prime Minister's car carries a private plate number just like mine. Private plate number. You can check it. Anybody can Google Prime Minister's car in the UK, and the number you see there is the same number that I, Nick Agule, a private citizen, we also register my car. It's not a special number the way in Nigeria you see government numbers are different, from a private number. There's nothing like that. And if that vehicle engages in any act that contravenes the traffic law, it will be ticketed. It will be ticketed. Even the king's vehicle carries plate number. It carries plate number. So these are the kind of things that are happening in Nigeria that we expect Nigeria to work well. A country doesn't work well except we put in the hard work. And that hard work comes from government doing their job. Look at the kind of road that you are showing to me here now. Even in the animal kingdom, this is not supposed to be a road. But these are the kind of things Nigerians are suffering with day and night. And for me, we ask the question, where is the tax money? Look at the kind of, are we in a war zone? You can see what you are showing on the picture now. These are the kind of roadblocks that happen in Nigeria. And look at the kind of traffic it is constituting on the other side, needlessly delaying citizens from getting around to where they want to go, because the government doesn't want to do its job. But for me, it is Nigerians that are allowing the government to get away with all of this. The day Nigerians decide to jettison their ethnic, religious, and political differences and say it is us and these government people, they must deliver to us a country that we will enjoy. That will be the beginning of the liberation of Nigeria from the shackles of these problems we're discussing.
You have mentioned about vehicles and numbers being blocked, and sometimes these vehicles are deemed to be above the law. Do you think that government vehicles, military vehicles, should be held accountable for violations of road rules? Because again, we've seen that play out every now and then. When it's government, person passing a high-profile individual in governance, they don't really tend to obey these rules. They don't really obey, the traffic lights. We see that play out over and over again. I'm not sure it's the same thing outside Nigeria. A situation where the people who are in power don't obey traffic rules, and then they expect the citizens to obey traffic rules. Do you think government officials, including governors, should be held accountable for disobeying traffic rules?
So there's the concept of the rule of law. And what is the rule of law? The rule of law is that everybody from top to bottom, from Mr. President to the lowest man on the street, must be held accountable equally before the law. And if, as a nation, we enforce the rule of law, we will develop. Because empirical evidence has shown globally that nations where the rule of law is held supreme are developing, are growing, they have high standard of living, quality of life is good, they have good education, good healthcare system, good transportation system, good security system, they have everything good. And those are the nations that are attracting our young people to go to run to. Countries where the rule of law is not being held supreme are backward, are suffering all sorts of things, the kind of things that Nigeria is suffering. So the rule of law requires that whoever you are, you must come equal before the law. And that is why the law is represented by a lady that is blindfolded. So this lady is not seeing that, oh, this is Mr. President. Oh, this is a vulcanizer on the street. Oh, this is a governor. No. The lady is holding the law in the hand and is enforcing the law on whoever. So until we get Nigeria to that level, we can as well bid bye-bye to development and bid bye-bye to enjoyment, high quality of life, and everything working well. That's just the truth. So the question as to whether official vehicles, be they military, be they government and all of that, should be held account is what is needed. Let me tell you that here in the UK, and we have cases like that, where policemen have been prosecuted. Here in the UK, a police car does not carry a special plate number. It carries a normal civilian number. The only way you identify a police car is that it is marked. So they paint it with police colors and they write police on it. And then it has a blue light on top, right? So it's not by registration that you know. The registration is the same the way I would have registered. Now, a police car is expected to put on its blue light and siren only if it is called to an emergency. But if it is not called to an emergency, then it is expected to drive normally like any other vehicle. Stop at traffic lights, don't beat the speed limit, don't park where you're not supposed to park, don't turn where you're not supposed to turn. A policeman driving a police car that is not called to an emergency has to drive it as if he was driving his private car. That police car must respect the laws. If that police car beats the law, that car will be ticketed. The driver at that point will be reprimanded. But immediately the car is called to an emergency, the car switches on its blue light, puts on its siren, and at that point it can break all traffic laws. At that point, other motorists are expected to clear the way for that police car. The police car can drive against traffic, it can drive through red lights at the traffic point, it can overspeed beyond the speed limit on the road because they are rushing to go and save life. So it's allowed, you know. So these are the kind of things that happen in these societies that make them to become decent And all that is on our mind today of our young people is to run to those countries. If we enforce these laws the same way they are being enforced elsewhere, our country will become even more beautiful than the places our young people are running to. Like where I'm sitting now, when I got up this morning, I looked at the temperature where I am now. It's 5 degrees centigrade. That's very cold. But 5 degrees is even better. You go to Canada now, it's probably minus 30. That's where Nigerians are shivering in cold when they could have been in their country with fine sunshine, good weather, and enjoying it. But we are refusing to enforce the laws this way. And but we turn around and expect our country to be good. It will never be good. And unfortunately, I'm not a prophet of doom. I'm just being very realistic and honest with ourselves that if we don't hold our leaders to account to enforce laws in the way and manner I'm describing now, Nigeria will never be good.
Well, it's interesting conversation. It's always a delight speaking with you always, Nick. Again, some of these governors have immunity. The president has immunity. So even if he flouts the law, there seems to be nothing that happens until his tenure finishes. So who would want to hold him accountable for, breaking the road rules even after his tenure? One would wonder whether this immunity even works for us in Nigeria. I understand that some countries, in fact, don't even have immunity for their prime ministers or even for their president. We see Israeli prime minister go to courts, to answer for cases, corruption cases, while he's still prime minister. So you wonder whether this immunity thing makes sense, for African leaders. What do you think on the final note?
Immunity doesn't make sense at all. For me, it should be removed from our constitution. Because like here, even in the UK here, the sitting prime minister, Boris Johnson, he was investigated and actually tried and convicted for hosting a party in his official in his office during COVID. It's not as if he stole money, just for holding it. He said, "Oh, go out, lock down, stay at home." Then he had a party with his colleagues in the office. It led to his investigation. Police went into 10 Downing Street, investigated him, so he should be removed. But even as it is now, there is only one president and there are 36 governors, right? So it's only 37 people who have that immunity. But we're 200 million people. So let us say those 37, we cannot prosecute them while they are in office. But the other 200 million, if we get the other 200 million to behave, we will still be all right. We will still be very much okay. Now, the other thing I will tell you, which I believe a lot of Nigerians know, is that do you know that some of the convoys you see on the road are not even official? They have nothing to do with government. They have nothing to do with the governor, president, or anybody, minister, nobody. These are private individuals because they now have money, and it doesn't matter how they made the money. They could make the money from drug dealing or from doing Yahoo or all sorts of advanced fee crime. Once they have the money, they are able to pay to the police or pay to military commanders. They give them army people or give them police people. They go buy vehicles, Hilux, they mount blue lights on it, and then they cover up their plate numbers and enter into a convoy, and they are driving around Nigeria, pushing citizens off the road, harassing road users and all of that. Private people. They don't even have anything to do with government. It's happening in that country. So these are the kind of things we are allowed to happen. Then we turn around and expect that the country will become beautiful. The country will never be good if we allow these kind of things to happen. It will never be good, unfortunately. So Nigerians, it is on us, because everywhere else in the world, even here in the UK where I'm speaking, it is the citizens who put pressure. The citizens are the ones that put pressure on the government, on the leaders, to deliver good governance. The citizens are hand in hand with the leaders on a daily basis. But in Nigeria, a lot of citizens seem to make a career in defending government people, saying, "Oh, the president cannot be everywhere. The governor cannot be everywhere," and so blaming citizens for the infractions that are happening. Look, the government can actually be everywhere, because like here in the UK, on the final note, the reason why government is everywhere is that as I'm sitting here now, the phone that I have in my hand, if I see anything that is happening around me here that I feel is a problem. I will just use that phone and call 999, 3 digits, 999, right? So even if it's in the night, I press my finger on the 9. I just press that 9 3 times. And the government is going to be here with me. So it is me that will tell the government that something is happening here. And then the government will respond. Through that system, it means government is everywhere through the eyes of the citizens. In Nigeria, we don't even have a system like that. We don't have an effective system where citizens now, they see a fire, they will just call 999 and fire brigade will come. Or they see a security incident, they call 999 now and security will immediately respond, or ambulance will respond. Instead, you see police issuing GSM numbers. Oh, if you have a problem, call DPO Ojo, call DPO Ikeja. These are GSM numbers. How about if you call and that handset does not have battery, or the handset is on another call, or the owner of the handset is sleeping, or the handset is not with him? Is that how you do emergency system? Our leaders travel around the world and they see how emergency system works. Like if Nigeria has a 999, when you dial a 999, that 999 goes to a control room that is manned by maybe like 10,000 people. So there's always a line available. So as you call, the call comes, the person picks it, 247, they pick it, and they ask you, is it police you want? Is it fire? Is it a fire engine, or is ambulance? 3 things, only 3 things they will ask you. And if you say, oh, it's ambulance, somebody has fallen down here, the ambulance will be there in a couple of minutes. So with the fire will be there in a couple of minutes. So with the police will be there in the fire. That is how you effectively police a country, not mounting roadblock in one place. When the bad people know that you are always there at the roadblock, any day they want, they come and kill the security at that roadblock. And that's how we have been losing security men, killing them because they have been in one place for the whole time, right? Whereas here, the security are invisible. You won't see them. But when citizens call, that is when they respond. And our leaders see all these things and they are not doing it. And citizens are watching these leaders do this kind of thing and damage the country. They carry their children abroad and citizens are busy defending them. When we stop defending them, that is when we will now start enjoying the country.
It's always a delight speaking with you, Nick. Many thanks for your insight. I truly appreciate.
Thank you and have a nice day.
All right. We're back shortly after this. Do stay with us.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.